for having radiation treatment like my dad.
Supported by an executive branch and a judicial branch. In the last 5 years, we have found those totally destroyed, democracy gone in our country. If you're in the bureaucracy, you're fired if you don't do what the government tells you. You thumb your nose at the Supreme Court of Canada.
Ma'am, you have a question coming?
I have a question. What will you do, Mr. Ford and Mr. Szostak, to bring democracy back to our country?
Okay.
Why I'm running is to try to overcome some of the things that are happening and to try to bring transparency into even our elections. I'd like to see more transparency in every regard, and I think that once we have that, we can expose those things that are wrong and try to fix them and understand what's happening. Right now, there's a lot of hidden things, and we need to get in there and do more of that. And I'm willing to stand up there and make a fool of myself if I have to get some of the transparency out.
Well, there's two parts to my answer. The first part is the personal part, that as I've been trying to say all along, I am absolutely dedicated to open, honest, respectful conversation. It's what I've done in my 26 years as a professor. It's what I'll do as your member of parliament. I'm also absolutely dedicated to being a true representative, which means engaging you in serious conversations and then going to Ottawa and taking your views and engaging with people in Ottawa in serious conversations about those views. So I am doing this because I am a dedicated Democrat, and I will do my personal best. It is really one of my main wishes to change the way that people behave in Parliament. And as I've said before, the only way we're going to get those changes is if we can show parliamentarians that you can score more points with humor and respect than by yelling and name-calling. The second part of my answer is what my party will do. We will bring in some very important rules. The Conservative government prorogued Parliament twice because they didn't like what Parliament was about to do. We are going to bring in rules that will prevent any Prime Minister from just shutting down Parliament when he doesn't like what Parliament's doing. As the questioner pointed out, the way our Constitution is written, it's actually Parliament that is the main show, and the executive is supposed to report to Parliament. We will also change the rules that govern committees. The Conservative Party produced a manual for its members on how to disrupt committee proceedings when they didn't like what the committee was doing. So we're going to make sure that the committee rules are made stronger so that the government actually has to show up in committees, answer the questions that committees have. You elect a Parliament. That Parliament then chooses a Prime Minister. That's the way the Constitution is written. That's the way the Constitution should work. And then that Prime Minister and the government that Prime Minister creates, which will be, again, I'm predicting a Liberal government, then is responsible to Parliament. We all need, one of the things that this country needs is for every one of us to put certain ethical principles above our party loyalty. I understand party loyalty, but when the people at our party break the rules, we should all stand up and say, hey, you've broken the rules, and we should put democracy first. Our Conservative members of Parliament have consistently failed that challenge over the last couple of years. They've failed us in holding their leader to the standards of ethics and democracy that we all want. I promise you, okay, I am running as a Liberal because I believe that Michael Ignatieff and his team are going to be respectful of democracy, but I promise you that I will always be, and if they slip up, I will have the guts to stand up and say, no, this is a democracy, this is the way it's supposed to work. Thank you. Briefly again remind you that we have the most credible commitment to bringing the deficit under control. We will do it. We're the ones. Tim talked